think almost everyone who is who in our movement has given glowing reviews of the book. That comes right in the front only. So I'm sure this book will illuminate many devotees, hearts, and heads that they can connect more with Krishna. Generally, at the end of a podcast, I try to summarize what was discussed. You okay if I just do that in 3-4 minutes? And then if you want to add some final words. So today we discussed about broadly the topic of prayers and the fascinating connection between healing and wholeness. So we become fragmented because of our various desires, become disconnected from our spiritual core, and healing is in that sense becoming whole. And when we become whole, our existence also becomes wholesome. That in Russian the word is more related, but in English also, if you go to the roots, that relationship is there. Then when we're talking about healing prayers, we are not so much talking about physical healing in terms of miraculous removal of diseases, but spiritual healing. And of course, if somebody has some serious issues in their life, then it's their dharma to take care of that issue. Then that's not incompatible with bhakti. It's sattvic for protecting our dharma. In serving it, we just need to make sure that we conclude the way Prabhupada said, that if it is your will, that if you so desire, my Lord, then rather than differentiating with prayers with material and spiritual, we can say how they are connectable with Krishna ultimately. And you mentioned that in response to my question about how these prayers of Kunti which you selected seem to be so exalted, that you addressed devotees who were in a very desolate and disturbed and disoriented state. And from that, the book came out in Russian and then came out in English afterwards. So the fact that Kunti Maharani, although she is right in front of Krishna and she has a personal bond with Krishna, still she feels that, Krishna, I can't understand you. So that's something which we can relate with in our feelings of incomprehension about what is happening in our life. And even devotees far greater than us go through such feelings. And then rather than thinking of praying as a means to get God to do our work, through praying we can gain understanding of what is happening. And that way, through praying, we become, you mentioned that the Vedic prayer, the Sanskrit prayers seem to have a lot of long introduction. And that introduction is before the actual, the request that is made, as Kunti Maharani does. So that's to make sure that one shows the Lord that I understand you. Otherwise, our prayers just simply become the botheration, give me this, give me this. And then it becomes a very transactional kind of relationship. We don't come closer to the Lord. So when we show that we understand the Lord, and then within the Lord, our understanding of the Lord's mission and mood, we position our prayer. Then that brings us closer to the Lord through that prayer also. And then we discussed about how much can we expand the ambit of prayers. So you mentioned that ultimately prayers are of no use unless there's the investment of the heart. Otherwise, there's just some parroting. So prayers have to be that investment of heart, helping devotees to do that is the responsibility of the commentator. What obstacles are there, what barriers are there, and how they can be removed. Prabhupada has done that for us, and we need to carry on that tradition. And that way, in prayer will become personal for us in the sense that we'll be able to personally connect with that prayer. And then when we talked about how far can we stretch the ambit to know whether we are reading something hidden in the prayer or we are bringing something hidden in our mind into the prayer, into the scripture. We need to ourselves, we pray. I like the word used, the integrity of intent, which we should have. And through that prayer, we will learn. And this is, I think, the way you wrote the book in Russian, but now it is manifesting in English. It is itself a journey. So I'm looking forward to reading the book myself. I look forward to having some more interactions, if possible, with you, Maharaj. This has been very stimulating and illuminating discussion. Thank you so much for your time. Do you want to add any concluding words?
Thank you very much, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, for inviting me. And yes, it's always nice to discuss Krishna consciousness or the philosophy of Krishna consciousness with devotees who are thoughtful. And I really liked your questions. They're very thoughtful and not formal at all. So I feel some joy in my heart, and I'm grateful to you for inviting me to this podcast.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Humble obeisances.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.